It is Monday again. This is the third time to do this. I think the mic is working now like it's supposed to. I have no idea why I can unplug, leave for the day, plug it back in, and it suddenly doesn't work. It's not supposed to do that, but it does it to me on a continual basis. Today I want to talk to you about walking in the dark. I went hunting this last weekend on a Saturday, and it was night, and I knew there was no trees or fences between me and my vehicle, so I didn't want to turn on my flashlight and maybe spook animals or let them know, where exactly I was. And I ended up stepping into a hole with my left foot and injured my Achilles tendon. And it's affected my walk. I've had to walk very, very cautiously. I don't want to, make it worse. And I got to thinking, how many holes have I stepped in in my life? How many holes have I dropped into that affected my walk in life? I'm walking today differently because I fell into a hole in the past. And I wonder how many of you have a different walk in life today because of some hole you fell into early on in your life. I fell into a hole when I was 18 of drugs and alcohol, and it affected my walk from that point on until I gave my heart to the Lord. It affected my relationships. It affected my job capabilities. It affected every area of my life. Even though it was in the past, it carried on into the future. What holes have you fell into that are affecting your walk today? Maybe it's drugs, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's anger, pornography, gambling, the plethora of stuff that's out there. But you're walking differently today because you walked in the dark, and walking in that darkness affected your ability to walk in the light. And I had a flashlight. I could have turned the flashlight on. And it just reminds me, how many of us know the truth, which is the light, walking in the light and not walking in darkness anymore. I had the flashlight. All I had to do was turn it on, and I would have missed that hole entirely. But how many of us have a truth, know a truth, but we're not walking in it. We're walking in darkness. We're walking in places that can injure us. Crazy thing is, if I'm not careful and the Lord doesn't supernaturally heal me, if I don't be careful, I can injure my leg to where it's permanent. And many, many people are permanently messed up because they won't walk in the light. They won't turn to the light and walk in the caution of knowing I can't go there. There's just certain things I don't lend myself to because my history says I fall to that, and it could cause me to be, back in sin on a regular basis. And so I avoid it. I walk away from that. I let the light of the truth I know keep me from falling into that again. So how many of you today are walking differently because of some hole you fell into? Maybe it was anger, and you're angry all the time and it's affecting your relationships. Let the light of God's word that says, "Be ye angry and sin not," change the way you walk. Anger is not the problem. What you do with that anger is the problem. And so we need to be really careful that we don't just know truth in our head, but that we actually walk in truth. In 1 John, the writer says, "I have no greater joy than to know that my children walk in truth." Walking in truth is that you know a thing and you walk in it day in and day out, not just when people aren't around, but when they are around, when they're not around. So I'm encouraging you today to take a look at your life and ask yourself, what holes have you fell into that have affected your walk in life? If you'll let the Lord help you, He can heal you and turn on the light so that you don't have to walk in that darkness anymore. Because people are affected. The thing is, if I'd had company with me and I'd have turned that flashlight on, not only could I have avoided the hole, the people who were with me could have avoided it as well. I could have said, "Then shine the light on and say, there's a hole right there, don't step in it." Now that I'm walking in light as a Christian, The people who are with me, I can say to them, don't go there. That's a hole you're going to injure yourself in. Don't go there. The bridge is out. Don't follow that road. Don't go that path. When we walk in light, not only do we keep ourselves from injury, but we keep those who are connected to us from injury as well, if they'll listen to us. Somebody could, I don't care what you say, I don't care if you tell me there's a hole over there, I'm going to walk that way anyway, and they could walk and injure themselves in that hole as well. But it would be against me speaking to them the truth, and I could say to them, I told you not to go there. I told you not to walk that path. People need to know that even though they've refused the truth I've given them, they're never going to be able to stand before God and say, I did not tell you not to go that way. They'll stand before a holy God, and the truth that I shared with them will be made known again. You had opportunity, and you chose this path. And so I'm free and clear because I've given them the truth. Now they need to walk in it. So I encourage you today to take a look at your walk in life and ask yourself, why am I walking with a limp? What hole did I fall into that affected how I walk today? Let the Lord heal you with the truth of His Word and walk in that truth so that those connected to you will not have to walk in that same darkness and maybe injure themselves permanently. Love you all so much. Hopefully this worked this time and the volume is right. Bless you all. If you think this would encourage somebody you're connected to, would you give me the thumbs up and share it? And together, you and I will change thousands of lives. Look forward to seeing you next Monday. Bye-bye.